Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, by Shem Quadash. My name is Chicago from Plaintables Camp, and it's a brother from Chicago, elder brother Malcolm. Historical correction on Sephardim and the slave trade. I believe this is referred to Spain is going into, I think I heard him saying about how the real Israelites were mingling themselves amongst the false Israelites. All right, let's let them go into it.
It says, while the mainstream America celebrated the 500th anniversary of Columbus' discovery of the New World, the same group of American Jewish, all right, the Sephardim, shed tears for the nearly 2,000 Spanish Jewish who were expelled in 1492. Do you see what I'm saying? Because he's making it sound like it was a Jewish society. It was the Moors that were in control, and the Moors were Negroes, so-called Negroes, Israelites that had that had converted to Islam, point blank, period. All right, and the Sephardim were their own people that were among them that kept the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability, or you know, that still held on to the Bible. Okay, and they were called Moriscos, or secret Jews, or Christians. That's what they were called. Okay, and it says so that he's leaving out history. This is them trying to control. It says the Sephardim in the Americas is the first collective effort to interpret the long journey from Spain to the Western Hemisphere by the grandchildren of the Spanish expulsion. The Spanish expulsion was the explosion of so-called black people. Fact, undeniable fact, irrefutable fact. All right. The Sephardim, who identified themselves according to their prayer ritual, whose name comes from the biblical destination of Spain, were first a significant group of Jewish or Israelites, immigrants, to settle in the Americas. And they were lots of sellouts because the Moors and the Sephardim also owned slaves of their own people. They set up businesses along with the Ashkenazi, which proven to you when you join yourself unto Esau, Edom, he will always turn on you and put you into slavery or put you down. That's what happened to that guy Northup in 12 Years a Slave. He was the well-to-do Negro that was of this Sephardic heritage that was already here in the America, along with the Moors, who made deals with these new founding Edomites and these Ashkenazi, and then he ended up going to serve slavery with his own people, right, for 12 years until someone went and got him. That's exactly what happened. It said the Sephardim who identified themselves according to their... That's exactly what happened. It said the Sephardim who identified themselves according to their prayer ritual, whose name comes from the biblical destination of Spain, were the first significant group of Israelite immigrants settled in the Americas. They dominated the religious, social, economic life, American Jewry during the colonial and early federal periods. Yet by the middle of the 19th century, they have become a part of the American Jewish myth. See, because the Jewish, the Ishes, the Ashkenazi began to come in. All right. It says they were viewed as grandees of American Jewish society and aristocratic, a cure-related group that had all but vanished as a factor in the later history of American Jewish life. In the years between 1881 and 1924, the great period of Eastern European Jewish immigration to the United States. These were the converts, the Ashkenazi converts, Edomites, all right? That's the left the shores of Europe and Asia, which is one continent. We're gonna prove that lie. Now he said it. I gotta show the receipt now. It was all Asia. That's why you don't see the word Europe in the Bible. He talks about being in Spain, but Spain sits in Asia. All right. It says they spoke Judeo, Spanish, Greek, Arabic, and claimed the Sephardic heritage. Their religious practices, songs, and poetry. Although the Israelites from Turkey, Greece, Syria, and Balkans to the east of European Jewish, all right, they may have all been from another planet. They spoke Yiddish and carried. See, so Yiddish, what is that? Yiddish is the a whole different language, a Slavic German language written with Hebrew characters. All right. So these people, you know, they did the hijack. And I always tell you, dodge the hijack. The word J and J-ish replaced Israelites. All right. And so I'm going to play a video, which pretty much the guy breaks down Joel, the third chapter. All right. How Ashkenazi Edomites, along with other Edomites, along with Ishmael and Ham, all right, took the royal line of Judah out of West Africa. They were refugees in West Africa, not from West Africa, and brought them to the Americas as slaves. All right, so let me go to Joel, the third chapter real quick. All right, let's go to Joel. Third chapter. He breaks it down. Okay. And it also breaks down too that there's a part 2 to manifest destiny, and we're entering into that period. But this is Joel 3:1. It says, "For behold, in the days and in the time where I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem," so that's the northern and southern kingdom, the house of Judah and the northern kingdom, "and I will also gather all nations and bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." They scattered us around the world, and they parted the land of Israel. It's been parted between the Edomites, all right, the Ashkenazi J-ish, they hijacked our heritage, and the Ishmaelites, Palestinians. But remember, among both are still some Israelites. All right, even among the Ashkenazi, there are actually some Israelites among them. All right, this isn't a color thing like they try to make it. Okay, and they have cast lots for my people. They sold us as slaves. This is Deuteronomy 28:68 to the T. Put us on slave ships and carted us around the world. That never happened to the Ashkenazi. They were the ones who owned the ships. All right. So that whole H word thing that they use as an excuse, that was really us. All right. "And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine that they might drink." You know, you watch the movie Goodbye Uncle Tom. You can still watch it on YouTube. You see that portion. Just like in the movie Roots, the first movie, the original movie that came out in the late 70s. All right. And around the 40th minute, they show you this scripture. They show you Ishmael, Ham, and Esau capturing the Kunta Kinte, capturing a royal Israelite, the bloodline of the kings of Judah. All right, that were refugees living on the west coast of Africa, not from Africa. They were from Asia. You heard that term, Black Asiatic man? Well, there's a lot of truth to that, because all the people in Asia were dark complected. All right. No matter which tribe or race they were all dark, until Esau took it over via Alexander of Macedon, Alexander the Edomite. All right. But it says, "Yeah, what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?" Those are African nations, and all the coasts of Palestine. Right. And then when the Arabs came together along with Esau against our people. All right. "Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your head?" All right. May seem like a long time to us, but it's a short time in the time of heaven. The Lord is getting ready to return this recompense unto them. Manifest Destiny Part 2. And they are not the beneficiaries of it this time, especially Edom. All right. It says, "Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem," Jeremiah 50:33. We went captivity together. All right. "Have you sold unto the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their border." All right. "Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head." The Lord has raised us up out of those places and given us back our heritage to their regret. All right. Which is why they build all these false narratives around us, put that word black before Hebrew Israelite when it's just the Hebrew Israelite.
And we looked this up. These are Israelites that were enslaved by the Edomite Romans, Libertinos. It's G3032. It says this is Libertine devotes Jews or Israelites, according to Philo, who had been made captives of the Romans under Pompey, but were afterwards set free, and who, although they had fixed their abode in Rome, had built at their own expense a synagogue at Jerusalem, which they frequented when in the city. The name of the Libertines adheres to them to distinguish them from free-born Israelites who had subsequently taken up their residence in Rome. So the point here is that you had different sects of Israelites. All right. Evidence seems to have been discovered of the existence of the synagogue of the Libertines at Pompeii. And you got guys like Vocab Malone and others that think that when you see the word JEW, they're all the same thing. They have the same culture, they have the same background, and they went through the same. No, they had different lives depending on which sect of Israelite you were from. All right, and read this over again. It clearly distinguishes these Israelite slaves from freeborn Israelites. And you had different sects of Israelites that had different culture. All right, they had different experiences. They may have been similar. Some of them may have been similar, but these are different sects. So you can't just say, look at the word Gentile. So I'm expanding, and just say, oh, it all means you're not of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When you see the word Gentile, when you see the word Jew, they're not all the same. They're still of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they had a different culture because their destiny went through, different paths. All right. Libertines. All right. And the stock, the root of the Romans, the pagan Romans, all right, after the Japhethites lost their power, and the Greeks, they're the same people. All right. The Greeks, as ruled by Alexander the Great, came from Macedonia. And those were Edomites. So they usurped power over the different city-states of the Greeks. And the Romans, the Edomites, came in and usurped authority over the original Japhethites. All right. But before you had any Caucasian, pale-faced Roman, you had the Romulus and Remus Romans. All right. Those are men of color. They were of the seed of Japheth. Esau is such a great liar, and he hides his tracks so well. So it takes some time to dig to find out the truth. We'll find out the 100%, on the history and everything when we get into the kingdom. But I put in two questions. When was the last Etruscan to rule Italy? And I also put in what ethnic group took over Italy after the Etruscans fell. So this is the best information I can get within a few minutes. The last Etruscans, because these are the actual Japhethites, to rule Italy was Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, also known as Tarquin the Proud, who reigned as king of Rome from 534 to 509 BC. He was the seventh and final king of Rome before the city became a republic. All right. So the Etruscan civilization dominated Italy until Roman Republic began to rise late 4th century. The Romans were eventually incorporated the entire Etruscan territory into the Roman Empire in 27 BCE. And I put what ethnic group, but they're not going to tell you what ethnic group. And there's still some confusion. What ethnic group took over Italy after the Etruscan fell? The Romans conquered the Etruscans and took over Italy after the Etruscan civilization fell. Well, the Etruscans ruled. They must have got pushed out of Rome because the Etruscans were ruling in Rome. All right, because the Etruscans were what says Lucas Tarquinius Superbus. He was the king of Rome. So so he got pushed out somehow of Rome, and there was another ethnic group which we believe were Edomites that were also in Rome. All right, and the Edomites, all right, and the Etruscans were Romans. So let's see, Etrusca's influence over the city of Latium and Campania weakened, and the area was taken over by Romans and Samnites. All right. So I'm sure there's more history if you keep digging this. I'm sure it's a rabbit hole that we're not going to go into. But there were the Etruscans were ruling Italy, and you had another ethnic group in Italy that had some power. All right. And these dumbass Etruscans let them stay there. You should have just, well, no, it was prophecy. All right. And they had a large power in Rome, and those Edomites, those pale-faced Caucasians, pushed out the Etruscans. All right, so look at one more. That's Etruscan art. So these were the Etruscans, which are different from the Edomites that were calling themselves Roman. Where are, all right, long hair, braids. That's how they look. So they were brown people. Some of them were dark, some of them were light. This is different from the Caucasian people that were calling themselves Roman, that identified as Roman. All right, and you can clearly see the difference. All right, these were men and women of color. All right, of the seed of Japheth. All right, and Esau, as what I just read, they came into power in Rome. So they had armies, political power, land in Rome, and they took over Italy from Rome. Let me put one more thing in, get some more information, then I'll end the video. So I put in what war was fought between the Etruscan kingdom and the power coming out of Rome. That's the best way I could word it. Battle of Rome, and they say they don't know if it actually happened or not. All right, Etruscan Roman wars, so they have here. I'm sure it's a rabbit hole. When did Rome fight the Etruscans? In the 4th century BC. Etruria saw Gallic invasion and its influence over Po Valley and Adriatic coast. All right. During the Roman Etruscan wars incorporated. So yes, I'm sure there's something here. I'm sure it's a rabbit hole. The point here is to prove that there were more than one ethnic group living in Italy. All right, you had the actual Japhites, and you had the Romans, the actual Caucasian people that were calling themselves Roman in Italy. All right, and they lived together. All right, so that goes back to the elder brother's point here. He was saying something about, let's go back a little bit.
Because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things, the children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem, Jeremiah 50 and 33. We went captivity together, all right? Have you sold unto the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their border?
That was my point there. That when the elder brother read that, those Grecians are referring to the Edomites that took over and conquered the Greek city-states. All right. And farther, the Esau in general, the Grecians, All right, they can be in Greece, Macedonia, Rome, America, Britain, the Edomites that as a whole. But in that precept, it identifies as the that's when Esau really came into power, when he assumed the identity of the Greeks. All right, so that's like the basis. All right, and then throughout all our slavery and the slave trades of the Israelites, they came under various names, but in this prophecy, they're identified as Greeks. All right, you could have also said, have he sold into the Romans? Have he sold into the different modern names of the Edomites, the so-called white man, has taken on over the centuries. He basically called himself every nation on earth. Let me prove that real quick. Hold on. All right, this proves it. My previous statement. Edomite looking. They make him a little brown hair. Edomite. This is Esau's MO. Edomite. I didn't make it a little more accurate here, but none of them were pale flesh. None of them were pale flesh. Shem, Ham, and Japheth with all men of color. Licensable. Ham looking. Ham's a so-called white man. All right. They were all men of color. All right. So Esau Edom identifies and making it's not more accurate like this. They all were men of color. All right. Shem. Everybody that came from Shem was colored. All right. And Ham and Japheth. Esau is a mutation, which means to change. That's a mutation means. Look it up. To mutate. It's a change. All right, but that's the traditional view right there of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Basically, all of them Edomites looking, pale flesh looking. All right, but the root is of color, and then Esau Edom came in, and that's the mutation, and that spread throughout all. So Esau pretty much mixed himself with all the nations. Now in Joel, let me get that. Joel, let's see, boy, wine. So basically, this type of trade is normal. And Joel 3:3, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they may drink. Meaning, you're slave trading for a commodity. I put in, what did the Romans trade when they sold Jewish slaves? So they used the term Greek to identify basically the Edomites, because that's when Esau came into power. So that was a good word to use. Have he sold into the Grecians? All right, because then that covers the Romans. It covers the different Edomites rule when they took on a different national names of other peoples. So Greece was a good foundation. All right. Now you could have said sold to the Edomites, but then that'd be too straightforward. You gotta, the book is written in code. All right, so only the elect could get it. All right. When the Romans sold Israelite slaves, they essentially traded them as a commodity, meaning they were sold for money in exchange for other goods like food, luxury items, raw materials, or even other slaves, depending on the market and the buyer's need. Their value could fluctuate based on the slave's age, skills, and physical condition. So there you go. That's how slaves were traded. All right, that they were traded, that our ancestors were traded for. All right, so we know that this prophecy is true. It's part of my land, scattered them among the nations. Here we go. And the vocab alone, the anti-Christians, they don't want to admit that Israel was scattered. I also will gather all nations and will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. All right. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Go down to the 6th verse. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Greeks, that ye might remove them far from their border. Is it talking about just the Greek Empire ruled by Alexander? No, it's talking about the Edomites, all the Edomites that assumed the authority of whatever nation. All right. So that ye might remove them far from their border. All right, from where we were, where we inhabited. All right. So you had the slave trade, the most famous, which was the cargo Atlantic, the triangle, the slave trade. But before that, we were being traded by Esau, Edom, under various names. All right. So I'll leave that there. Hope you edified. Shalom.